So what's up guys, I am Black Ops Amazing, welcome back to another video on the channel where today we are going to be taking a look at how the storyline could begin in Black Ops 6 Zombies, where we left off in Black Ops Cold War because this is going to be a sequel, and also because Modern Warfare 3 Zombies takes place after Black Ops 6 Zombies. A lot of the events that have taken place in that game could also be shown in Black Ops 6. So gathering all of the details, intel, radios, documents, and from the BO6 Zombies reveal, we have a slight idea about how the storyline in this game may go. So just before we get into the video, I do want to say we are almost at 700,000 subscribers, so if you're not subscribed to the channel, I would really appreciate it if you just took 2 seconds and click that button. That's all I ask. If not, it's okay, but let's get into it. So the events in Black Ops 6 Zombies will take place 5 years after the events of Cold War's final map, which was Forsaken. In that map we witnessed quite a few different things happen. Samantha Maxis battled with the Forsaken, who was an elder god within the Dark Ether. He tricked Omega into helping him escape, entered our world, in which Samantha then fought him. The results of that fight ended with the Forsaken being captured inside of this device, but in turn Samantha becoming trapped within the Dark Ether. So the Forsaken was captured, Samantha became trapped in the Dark Ether. Our members of Requiem, Weaver, Carver, Gray, and Strauss were all arrested on orders of Richtofen, and as for Richtofen himself, well, he was revealed to be the director of Requiem, the person working behind the scenes, pulling all of the strings, and as a part of his grand scheme which we saw on his computer screen, ultimately all of this was a part of Project Janus. On his group memo it read, "Entity acquired, all breaches sealed, Maxis locked within the Dark Ether. She is no longer a problem for Project Janus. Divert strike team to Black Site 13 for indefinite containment. I will shut down Requiem. Our agents can move on Weaver and the rest." And that's exactly what happened. Pretty much everything that we saw in Black Ops Cold War Zombies was all a part of Richtofen's plan. And by the end, it was time for him to wrap things up. So he used Samantha to defeat the Forsaken, where she got herself trapped within the Dark Ether. Richtofen knew that would happen. That meant that she was now out of the way and wasn't going to be a problem. He also had the other members of Requiem removed to make sure that they also weren't a problem for Project Janus. So Weaver, Gray, Strauss, and Carver were imprisoned at Black Site 13, otherwise known as Terminus, the island that we see in Black Ops 6's cutscene. Requiem was then shut down, and this was where Project Janus would begin. But because this was the end of that game, we never actually found out what Project Janus was. That's what we're going to be learning about within Black Ops 6's storyline. But there were a few other events that took place in Cold War which are vital to the story and could potentially be the reason why Richtofen is doing all of this, because if you remember, before Cold War, when Richtofen was a child, him and Samantha in the Tag der Toten ending cutscene, after the multiverse was destroyed in the Ether timeline, after Richtofen, Takeo, Nikolai and Dempsey killed themselves, the 2 innocent children that were left, Samantha and Eddie Richtofen, left the multiverse and entered this new one singular universe, which was the Cold War one, which is a part of the Dark Ether timeline. As children in the 60s, they left there and then entered this new universe, but between then, the 60s, and now in the 80s, that's a whole 20-year gap where they grew up, and we don't really know what happened in that time between Samantha and Eddie, because clearly, as children, they were friends, but now in Cold War, we've seen Richtofen torturing Samantha. A lot has happened. A lot that hasn't been explained to us yet. But one thing that we did learn and come to the conclusion was that potentially Weaver and Samantha ended up killing Richtofen's son and wife. Through radios and documents that we have in Cold War, this is what we learn.
I want you to know that I've been in your shoes, and you can trust Weaver. He's a good man to have in your corner. A good boss. Back in the 70s, West Germany was a major investor and supplier to Iran. In exchange for oil and gas, we propped up their steel industry and aided their nuclear power program. I was there in '79 when the revolution kicked off. Western intelligence agencies coordinated with the CIA to ensure the Shah's safe extraction to the US. But a lot of diplomats and citizens weren't so lucky. Me included. If it wasn't for Weaver's intervention and willingness to go off the books, I'd be a forgotten memory by now.
So in 1979, when the Iran Revolution kicked off, Western intelligence agencies coordinated with the CIA to ensure the Shah's safe extraction to the United States. But a lot of diplomats and citizens weren't so lucky, Samantha included, and if it wasn't for Weaver's intervention and willingness to go off the radar during that time, then Samantha would be dead as well. He saved her. Now somewhere along the line, we don't know the exact date, an operation took place which resulted in a catastrophic error. That's probably the worst way of wording it, but about this in Samantha's diary, she writes, "I'm writing it down, not because I don't know what happened, but so that others will. My name is Maxis, Samantha Maxis. I know you're reading this, Weaver, and I know you feel the same guilt I do about the boy. I promised I would keep him safe, but we both failed him. The last thing I expected was for you to move as quickly as you did. The operation should never have happened. If I'd have known the steps you would take, I would not have told you the location. The house was supposed to be safe. We both feel the guilt, but I will always blame myself, more than you. I am not disappointed, I'm just angry. After everything I've done, you still don't trust me. I've been damned before and I wouldn't wish that upon anyone. Do you remember when we first met? Sometimes I do, but other times, it seems more like a dream. All I know for sure is that it was a war zone, one that I feared I'd never be able to escape. In some ways, I'm glad you didn't clear me for field ops. Yes, I know it was you, I don't ever want to go back. I remember waiting for your call. 10, 11, 12, the phone never rang. Instead, I saw news of the explosion on TV. I couldn't sleep. 3 AM, I heard a knock at my apartment door. You gave the keyword and I let you in. We'd never met face to face before. It was a shock to finally meet you. You were in a bad way. I did my best to dress your wounds, but it was the first and only time I ever saw you cry. You mumbled something about not knowing, about how sorry you were. You torched the place to cover your tracks after the hit. You said the boy was supposed to be staying with his mother, but he wasn't. He was there, in the house, while it burned to the ground. And there is also this audio log, which is a conversation between Maxis and Weaver that tells us a little bit more about this situation.
Hello, Sam. I'm not allowed to visit in person, but I just wanted to check in.
Before the operation tomorrow? Be there or be square.
I know I can't tell you what to do. You wouldn't listen anyway. But seriously.
I know my orders, Weaver. I assist with the infill, but then...
You stand down. We can't risk any mistakes. We both know how badly things can go south if we act impulsively.
You're talking about the boy, aren't you?
And the mother.
It wasn't your fault.
It wasn't yours either, Sam.
His name was Samuel. And we will forever feel responsible for his death. I gave the intel to Weaver. The intel he acted upon. That's what we're all supposed to do, right? Act on the available intel. That's just what Weaver did. Act. Unfortunately, his actions resulted in collateral damage that neither of us will ever be able to forgive ourselves for. I'm sorry. I know he is too. But I still have a terrible feeling that the events of that day may yet come back to haunt us. I just need you to know. I am sorry.
So we learn that there was an operation that took place that killed a boy and his mother. And it was Weaver that partook in this operation. Samantha gave him the location of where it was, where the house was. Weaver then went to that house, something went down, we don't know what, and in order to cover his tracks, Weaver burned the house down. But he didn't know that a boy and his mother was there, so he set the house alight with them two in the building and killed them. Samantha gave Weaver the intel, Weaver acted upon it, and their actions resulted in collateral damage, killing a child and a mother. We also learned that the child's name was Samuel, and this is important because the theory right now, and that's all it is because it hasn't been confirmed, but if we take a look on Richtofen's desk, we see his family, his wife and his son. Now, is it just a coincidence that this child that Weaver and Samantha killed is called Samuel? We know a Samuel in our zombie storyline, Samuel Stuhlinger, very well. In the old timeline, he was Richtofen's best friend, both Ultimus Richtofen and Primus Richtofen in a way, but not this Richtofen, Eddie. However, is it just a coincidence that Eddie Richtofen would name his child Samuel after Samuel Stuhlinger? Now, Eddie as a child didn't know Stuhlinger personally. It was other versions of him that were friends with Samuel Stuhlinger, and the two hadn't met personally, other than in Tag der Toten when the crew were in the forest, Ultimus, Primus and the two children, and during that time, Nikolai and Ultimus Richtofen were talking to Samuel. So even though Eddie wouldn't have known Samuel personally, they wouldn't have been friends, he would have heard of the name. He also would have known that Stuhlinger had a big role to play in getting the children to safety. Without the Victor's characters doing what they did in Tag der Toten, both Samantha and Eddie wouldn't have had the fortune to live a better life, in quotation marks, even though things have gone to shit once again. The idea was that the Victor's characters were kind of sacrificing themselves to destroy the multiverse and give the children a better future, allowing them to walk off into this new Cold War universe. So even though Eddie didn't know Stuhlinger personally, was there a chance that because he knows the sacrifices Samuel made for him, he ended up naming his child after him, Samuel? If that isn't the case, and it is just a coincidence, then either way the theory is these two people that we see on Richtofen's desk, his family, his wife and his son, are the two people that were killed in the house fire by Weaver and Samantha Maxis. Samuel and his mother were Richtofen's wife and son. And the reason Richtofen is doing everything he has done so far in Cold War and continuing in Black Ops 6 Zombies is to not only try to find a way to get his wife and son back. How he's going to do that, I don't know. Maybe use the Dark Ether, but also kind of get revenge for them, because we saw in Cold War Zombies, Richtofen pretty much tortured Samantha. He locked her inside of a room, and behind some glass where she couldn't see him, he interrogated her. He tortured her.
Wake up. Wake up!
Where am I? Where's Natso?
You will answer our questions. Do you understand?
Who the hell are you?
That's not important. What's important is who you are. What is your name?
Fuck you!
Where were you born?
Kiss my ass!
Your name is Samantha Maxis. You were born in Berlin, November 5th. Is that correct? Is that correct?
I don't know. Everything is different now.
Oh, I know that better than you.
Where am I?
You're in Block 8. A facility specifically designed to take care of people like you.
Take care of people like me?
You're here to undergo some specialized tests.
What kind of tests?
You'll find out soon enough. The Dark Ether changed you in many ways. I just need you to know how much.
You don't know anything about me.
Really? I think you're going to be very surprised.
It doesn't seem like Samantha remembers who Eddie is. Even though the two grew up together and entered this Cold War universe together, we know at one point they were separated and Samantha was sent to an orphanage. As to what happened to Eddie, we don't know, but it's obvious that Richtofen remembers exactly who Samantha is. He knows her birthday, where she's from, he knows everything about her, but it's unclear to us if Samantha remembers who Richtofen is. We know that she's infected with the Dark Ether. One of the side effects of the Dark Ether is that it gives you memory loss, so there's a chance that she's totally forgotten who Richtofen is, but maybe not. Maybe that's the reason why Richtofen hasn't shown his face to Samantha yet, because if she does end up seeing him and she finds out that it's her childhood best friend that's done all of this stuff, then that totally changes things. As far as we're aware, Samantha can't remember who Eddie is. But getting back to what I was saying, there's a chance that all of what Richtofen is doing, him torturing Samantha, him using her to defeat the Forsaken and then get herself trapped within the Dark Ether, Richtofen also specifically picked Weaver to be the head of Requiem, I think it is. Even though he'd never met Weaver in his life, he picked him specifically, which tells us, well, there's a reason why he wanted Weaver in the position he was. I think that's because he partook in killing his family. He wanted to be close to him so he could use him, which he's done, and all of this is a part of Project Janus. That is his big overarching goal. And that, now that Samantha is out of the way, now that Weaver, Gray, Strauss and Carver have been locked up, Project Janus can come into play in Black Ops 6. However, there is one more thing I want to bring up quickly, and that is in Modern Warfare 3 Zombies, we learn that Ava is the child of Samantha and Gray. So the two, in between the events of MW3 and Cold War, which is a 40-year time gap, had a child. Now obviously, with them both being women, that's not technically possible, so it is Revanov who is her actual father, but Samantha and Dr. Gray, with the help of Revanov, had a child, and we learn that this child is Ava, who is bonded to the Dark Ether, because she is bonded to her mother, Samantha, who is also trapped within the Dark Ether. That's a topic for a different day, but just know that that event also happens. Whether or not that'll be mentioned or we'll see it in Black Ops 6, I'm not sure. But getting back to what I was saying, the Black Ops 6 zombie storyline will revolve around Richtofen's Project Janus. Janus, if you don't know, is a Roman god. He is the god of doors, gateways, transitions. He is known as having two faces. When you think of that, doors and gateways, in zombies you think of gateways to the Dark Ether. So Project Janus must have something to do with the gateway between our reality and the Dark Ether. So to know what's going to happen at the start of BO6, we need to go back and look at what took place at the end of Forsaken, at the end of Cold War. Well, Richtofen had the members of Requiem locked up in Black Site 13. In Black Ops 6, one of our zombies maps takes place on Black Site 13, which is Terminus. And we know as a part of the storyline, Dr. Peck travels here along with a girl called Maya to free them from this prison. For whatever reason, Dr. Peck and this random girl called Maya free Weaver, Carver and Gray from the prison that they were locked up in. Where Dr. Strauss is, we don't know. We don't see him in the Black Ops 6 trailer, but both Maya and Peck have their own agendas for freeing these characters from prison. We don't know why Dr. Peck's done this, maybe to get revenge on Omega for what they did to him. There's probably another reason, but that's what's going to happen. And on the other side of the world, in West Virginia, Richtofen's Project Janus is coming into play. This will happen in a place called Liberty Falls, but in Cold War we had a piece of intel to Richtofen from his Secretary Executive Office, which said, our cover story went live in the town of Liberty Falls, where the citizens were informed the nuclear power plant had experienced a tower failure and was leaking. At this time, most of the town has been evacuated and placed in lodgings one county over. We've established a disaster relief fund in coordination with the local government. We expect relocations and payments to begin in 2 weeks. As you predicted, a few locals weren't exactly keen on giving up their land and asserting their rights as American citizens to protect their property. We'll see how they feel once we start construction on the wall. 3 additional venture companies have been established so we can begin to move supplies in, including a shipping company at the West Virginia Public Port Authority, which is crucial to the 5,000 tons of steel we are expecting to be delivered next week. We are still dealing with a shortage of boring machines on the East Coast, which is surprising. We are in Cole County, which is now impacting the build schedule for our tunnel network. I'm seeing what we can do to acquire machines from the Midwest, but it will take time to arrange. Lastly, this week was orientation week for our latest bunch of new hires. 53 scientists, 32 military personnel, 18 operations personnel, 4 custodians, and a partridge in a pear tree. We'll see how many make this month. Our retention rate is up to 30% after the latest round of improvements. That's all for now. Looking forward to your arrival, sir. So we learnt in Cold War that in West Virginia, in Liberty Falls, which is where our other zombies map in Black Ops 6 is going to be taking place, Richtofen is building a wall. We don't know what this wall is for. Walls are usually for 2 things or 3. It's to either keep something in or keep something out or keep something a secret. What happened to the Forsaken after he was captured? Was he taken to Liberty Falls? Is this where he's being kept? Is that what the wall is being built for? We'll just have to wait and see. We also know from Modern Warfare 3 Zombies that somewhere along the line, Weaver, Gray, Strauss and Carver are going to die. We not only saw this in the MW3 Zombies intro, so it definitely happens. Whether or not it's in Black Ops 6, only time will tell, but also the Forsaken showed it to us in his kind of premonition or vision that these characters die. It may be that by the time Modern Warfare 3 Zombies finishes, it will be revealed to us why they died, but if not, the theory is Weaver, Gray, Strauss and Carver sacrificed themselves attempting to save Samantha from the Dark Ether. She is currently still trapped in there, so now that they've been freed from Terminus Island, it seems like we're going to try and find a way to save her, but ultimately fail. But not before she ends up having a child with Dr. Gray. And in the meantime, Richtofen's going to continue on with Project Janus, whatever that may be, attempting to bring his child and mother back, or maybe there's a bigger goal. There's a lot of mystery right now, which is good. We don't want to know everything, but I will say it sounds a hell of a lot more interesting than the storyline we've been told as of late. So far in Black Ops 6, it is set up to be good. But yeah, there we go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. If you have, drop a like rating. Make sure you are subscribed to stay up to date with the latest content on the channel. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, goodbye.